My baby's got all kinds of stuff. She's in her room that makes all kinds of noise. I don't know if you count that as an instrument or not, but yeah.
She getting ready.
She plays all kinds of stuff, that's right.
It's probably in her future.
Yeah.
Who's your helper today? She looks familiar, but I don't know how she fits into the
She was
overall
one of my
scheme.
students, Mr.
She's one of her students?
Yeah.
Is she shadowing? Oh, you're the new Wanda. You look, you look too young and too nice to be the new Wanda.
We are live. We are live. It's recorded right there.
I am joking. How about turning red?
I'd say that too. It's too late now. It's not been recorded.
Nice to meet you under these circumstances. You smile a lot. I like that. That's a good sign.
Call to order the meeting of the Stokes County Commissioners with the Stokes County Board of Health, July 15, 2019 at 3 o'clock. As always, we'll start off with invocation. Commissioner Walker needs to do it again, but I'm going to let Commissioner Yonks do it this time.
All right, anyone that'd like to join, please join. Heavenly Father, we come before you today and humbly ask for your leadership and guidance in the direction of the county matters at hand. Please give us travel mercies on our way home this afternoon. Lead, guide, and direct us in all that we do, and we ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Continue to stand for pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here's somebody to go with again.
Start off with the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. We have no public comments. We move on to our consent agenda. A motion to second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Move on to the information discussion agenda. I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, now this is where I introduced Haley. She took Wanda's position. She's been with us as preparedness coordinator before, and then she was at DSS before that. But when Wanda left, she's the one who just took over her role.
Good.
She's doing great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
A comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Now, Wanda could be pretty firm at times. Are you ready for that?
I'm working on it.
She try to keep it straight.
I'll let you keep on that.
Unless she wants to say anything.
You want to practice now, being firm?
Good opportunity.
The lab fee changes. You have an attachment in there, it's for LabCorp fees. And I highlighted the price that we need to change it to. We just need approval from you to change the fee. And these were effective in May, so we're a little bit behind. It's only like $1 or $2 in some instances, but that adds up, you know.
I'm aligned with this,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, surrounding counties.
yeah, but yes, LabCorp is just their company policy
Right.
for whoever uses them.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Now, is it Haley
Yes.
or whoever would like to answer it? But I suppose LabCorp is our only option for this type of lab work, or are there other providers out there that sometimes we might need to kind of check with and test the market a little bit?
We only use LabCorp and State Lab. And that's the way it's always been since I've been here. I don't know of any other than LabCorp. I don't know anybody else in this area.
So we're pretty well locked in, sounds
They
like.
put us a discount for
Good, good. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me just keep moving.
Keep on moving on, yeah.
Okay, I have Jamie's certificates for his trainings, but I still need Rick and Andy's. Because I did speak with our accreditation lady at state, and she said to have you guys do it, even though we're
And
going
the board
back
back
to
in.
that. But since you've been here over half the year, I still need those certificates. Please. Anything?
I really haven't needed to do it. It's just every time I get home, I forget. I'm sorry.
I know. You have the other attachment, the new statute for the no tobacco sign. And Shannon has a sheet that I gave her. The only reason I'm bringing that is this is the accreditation standard. In one of their benchmarks, it states that if the health department is housed in the building, we should have no tobacco product signs at that building. So we have them at the health department and we have them in our King location. And they say no tobacco use within 50 feet of the main entrance. And I'm just asking, because last time and all the other times before, we have missed that one just because the sign's not there. And it's because environmental health's here. And I know tobacco is touchy as those can. But it's just for this purpose, the accreditation. And I mean, for everybody's health too, but you know, we get dinged every time they come for that.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Commissioner.
They're already exiting the building and going to a designated area now, right?
Up here, are they? I'm assuming up here, because I know in ours, you have to be 50 feet out front the door and then.
Right, yeah.
We just don't have a sign out front.
Right.
They look for the sign, that's where that sheet was highlighted, they come and they look for that sign. If they're housed here, then I need a sign.
What's it say, no tobacco products?
No tobacco products within 50 feet. It's got the general statute that I gave you, it's got it below there stating the reason why if they wanted to research.
I have a question.
Sir, go ahead.
Shannon, can people hear Tammy and Haley with that microphone?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, they can actually even pick up some from these microphones. They're so sensitive when they're sitting on this side.
Just wondered.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And 50 feet, I don't know that now that if people are going to the areas outside this building, if they're technically going 50 feet. Because I know that's usually out this back door, most of them go, or to the side. So it would be establishing where that would need to be.
I mean, I'll just say it, I don't know if anybody else wants to, but if we're holding other county employees at a certain level in other buildings, I don't know why we would do the same thing here. I mean, that's just my take.
Okay.
I will say that tobacco has been for many years staple in Stokes County back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. I can remember when Dr. Hobbs, when this was passed, that we could not have tobacco products on school grounds. And Dr. Hobbs brought that to our attention. I was actually the principal at North Stokes High School at the time. And we knew that was going to be a touchy subject, especially, I'll just be honest, in the northern end of the county. Still, and there still are many people that farms tobacco. It's very touchy. However, it was law. We had put signs up. Signs were put up at the school. So that's about all I've got to say about it.
Mr. Chairman, times have certainly changed since I was growing up and I was in high school. High school I went to had designated smoking areas. Just really common practice. Not many of the students did. The times change, and circumstances change. I agree with Commissioner Mendenhall. This is something that's still a very important issue to certain folks with a tobacco tradition or heritage in our county. It always, I think, needs to be handled kind of in a common sense, practical way. In today's times, I think it's, I would say, Tammy, I'd say it's fairly common, and according to you folks, it's state law, you don't have a choice. As far, right. As far as the other facilities,
I don't think DSS has anything they have to follow. It's just if, I guess, if they wanted to. But there's no law or general statute requiring them.
As environmental health is in this.
It's just because they're housed in this building and we're over environmental health.
right. And I'm read some of the statute, I've read that in it, that wherever there's a full-time presence, permanent presence, and, that would, I think, certainly fit what this ordinance or statute is referring to. I can see, at least, as Commissioner Yance was saying, at least consistency with these two buildings, because this has to, I think, comply with the same rules or regs, whatever, that your main facility complies with. So, where would you put a sign that says 50 feet? And that's,
Ours is right there in the grass at the sidewalk.
it isn't 50 feet from the parking lot to the door.
Because, you could put it actually at the front, like up next to the building, because ours, we have a smoke pole, is that what you call them?
Well,
And the
they're,
bench out there, and they sit out there on our sidewalk out front, and it is 50, it's over 50. They just cannot be at our front door smoke, because we have to go out and have them move.
well, I think we really have to consider whatever we're being told to do with this rule, regulation, whatever.
So it's 50 feet from the door, from the entrance.
Done.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Let me make sure I understand all this. What we're saying is that with the health department buildings, this one and yours down there, there's no use of any tobacco products within 50 feet of the building. But there's no prohibition at 51 feet. Right, okay. So,
They can sit on that bench right there, and we have a smoke pole for them.
okay. And so what's the policy in the rest of our buildings then, like especially for smokeless tobacco? Because I don't, smokeless tobacco doesn't bother anybody but the person that's using it, and so I see a difference between that and smoke where you're blowing smoke out all over people.
Because we've actually had people come in vaping, and we have to tell them to stop, because they don't consider it where it's vape.
What was, I'm sorry, I
We
didn't,
have to tell them to stop until they leave the premises, because they'll actually try to vape in the lobby.
Yeah.
is vapes considered tobacco?
Yeah, because it's got nicotine in it.
So what is our policy on the rest of the campus?
The policies, like DSS, for example, the employees, there's not a sign down there that says anything about the smoking outside the building. But the employees have a designated area to smoke if they smoke. They go out to that little area where there's like a covered area by the sheriff's department. So it's just known that if you're a smoker, that's where you go to smoke, or you step away from the building, not in the front door. So pretty much all the other buildings are already, and they're doing that here too. Nobody's standing out front employee-wise. Now, the public may stand there.
Okay.
In which case that sign would let them know, but already the employees are going to designated areas in their buildings, picnic tables that are put out for that, or a covered area for that.
Okay. Well, I'm perfectly good with making or putting up the signs to take care of the health department issues. As far as the rest of it, I don't want to restrict people from smoking if they want to go and do it appropriately. And then the other thing, which we're not doing, it doesn't sound like, but then on the other hand, I don't understand what the issue is with necessarily with smokeless tobacco.
I agree with
And
you.
whether we have a policy or not on using that inside the building. You don't have to leave your desk to do that.
I don't think we have a policy on that, and you wouldn't really even know for the
Yeah.
most part if anybody was.
This has a position on it,
Right, it does.
It's
That
just for
does.
health department.
Right, for the health department.
includes this building because.
Yeah, it does, this one in the
Environmental
health department, but not the rest of the buildings.
Right.
Okay, good.
Do you have something?
Well, my question was going to be, so we're talking about signage to be like our other facilities, and if we're talking about signage, are we going to provide areas like our other buildings have as well?
You would have to kind of here if you're gonna put a sign up. What do you do at the health department now? You have a bench out there and an area where they can extinguish into that?
Yeah, and then our employees usually just go to their car or out to their car.
And as
Some
long
will
as,
go over to DSS, that picnic table.
so as long as it's 50 feet from the back door, so if they did if we measured off to the back door area out here and maybe gave some area out there as the designated spot, makes it the easiest and for public to understand too if they're,
That's where they go now anyway, right?
yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's just mainly they really don't want it for health reasons at your front door.
Right.
You also have access to that other covered area on the back side of the DSS building that's a
Yeah.
covered area for smoking too.
I still, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
still have mixed feelings. For many, many years, Reynolds Tobacco put a roof over our family's head and groceries on our table and helped educate our kids and a lot of other people too in this area. And they were a real force in the area, did a lot of good for the community and for really the area itself in a lot of ways. Tobacco is still a legal product. There's no regulations prohibiting the use of tobacco in this country, and because of that, to me, there's a question of personal freedom and common sense that comes into play. Give you an example. Isn't obesity passing tobacco as a health risk in the country nationally? I thought it was. Do we do anything about all these heavily laden with sugar soft drinks that people drink all day long? I'm not talking about just you, Commissioner Mendon. But that's a huge health risk. Contributes to a person's obesity, which obesity contributes to a multitude of organ issues, etc. But we're not doing anything. We're singling out, continue to single out tobacco and giving some of these other things a free pass. I'm not overly comfortable with that. I know that's a bigger issue than we can solve at this level. Right now, we have to deal with what we're being told we have to do. But it just seems like it sends mixed signals. Yes, this is bad. You don't do this because it'll harm you. But some of these other things are just getting a free pass. And it's been that way for many years. This is not new. The only thing different for us is tobacco has been so important in this area for so long. Now, it's diminishing. I don't see nearly the tobacco fields that I used to see. But it's still important to a lot of people. And I think whenever we deal with something, and I think Commissioner Morris might be on the right track, we don't need to be any overly restrictive than we need to be. I think that's what I was hearing you say. And along with that, we need to use some common sense and courtesy. But I don't think there's any choice we have. If I'm missing something, somebody please tell me. I don't think in this situation there's any choice we have. But if we're going to stay in good stead with the state, if you're going to be all right with your surveys and whatever, we have to do this. Thank you, sir.
So pretty much we just need to put a sign up, no smoking 50 feet at the door, right?
I can order this, I already have some more, somebody stole the ones he can. But yeah, that's all.
All right.
As long as you approve it, I can get it signed.
Okay.
We're gonna move to, these plans and policies, they just need to be reviewed and moved to whenever we meet, or if I need to come back to the commissioners and have to approve. You approved the adjudication and the overall operations last year, not long ago. It's just we're rolling back around to a new year, and it needs to be done again since it was kind of late in the year last year when it was done. So those you can look over, nothing's changed since the last time you read them. Overall operations, it's just basically everything's got my job description, what you guys do to supervise me and all that. And then that's all I have for anything discussion wise.
Is there any comments or questions?
I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but the operations policy, would anything change should we reinstate the board?
I just have to go in there and change everything that says BOCC to BOH.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
They'd have the same job, it just has to change.
When do you have to have that approved by? The
The,
overall?
As soon as it comes in. We get our letter next month from the accreditation board, and we'll have to November to get everything submitted. So we need everything, we can submit it till November, so I need it between August and November. So I'll be bringing everything between now and then that I need approved.
So you'd rather have it approved with the BOCC and then go back and change it to the BOH if?
Yeah,
That's
since they're
case
the
vote and
board
waiting.
now. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because I mean, they looked at them, nothing's changed since last year except the date. I just updated, reviewed them, nothing's changed. It's just they need to be done for 2019, and it was late in the year last year when we did 18s. Other than that, if there's something real pressing, I'll bring back. Because they'll be here in January for their site visit.
Everybody good? All right. Go ahead and move on to the next thing I'm going to.
The next thing
yeah.
is action.
So in your discussion agenda, you just need approvals on lab fee changes, the tobacco sign for this building, the adjudication policy, and the overall operations policy.
And I should have those trainers.
Be placed in consent.
Do you have an issue? Yeah, well, actually, no, because when Jennifer, Show was here at one of our first Board of Health meetings, she asked us to stay away from consent in any kind of Board of Health meeting, besides things like minutes and things. But she said as far as policy, she preferred them to be done in action. She did say that.
Okay. I was looking at the wrong thing, I then went back to DSS, that's the reason I was looking, I was like, that ain't the end of this.
Like, where are these at?
Yeah. I'll stay for a minute. All right. The Jackson agenda, the item A, the strategic plan 2019. Have a motion, a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Please.
Go ahead, Commissioner Walker.
Tammy and Haley, I haven't looked at your strategic plan probably as much as even I should have. All this information and try to do what I can, but sometimes I don't have enough time to do everything I would prefer to be able to do. But let's just talk about this strategic plan that I have here before me right now. When is the last time you did a strategic plan?
That was the last, I want to say September. Last September, right before I gave it to you,
Of this,
last year.
of 18? I remember we did go through that, and
It's just never.
I don't know what, if anything, has changed
You do
with
it
this
yearly.
plan. I think very little, probably. Very little has changed, if
No,
anything.
this is the same as it's been when you've had it. I hadn't changed it since last September. It will change again this year, probably around August, because I'll do the fiscal year annual update too. And I do it both at the same time, so it's probably gonna be August this year when it'll change.
And what changes do you foresee at that time?
I'll just have to evaluate where our goals were for this year, which is on there as our problem areas. There's 3, I believe, and review that with our management team and see if we need to continue working on any of those or change what we need to do in the future to get the outcomes we want. That's basically, it's just trying to improve each department.
Right.
In the health department.
So you're using data from the operation of the department,
Yeah.
put into the plan and hopefully identify ways that things could be made better.
Right.
And is this a 5-year plan or what time
Normally we
period?
do. Since I've been there, it's been every year. Some people do 3 to 5 years, but they've always done it every year.
Right, I guess,
I can change our policy and do it every 5 years, because we have a strategic plan policy. And if I changed it, we could do it 3 years or more, but it's always been every year since I've been there.
all right, one of the reasons I'm asking Tammy is I'm kind of accustomed to 5-year plans.
It would be easier that way. Because I
And
mean,
you-
in a year's time frame, these goals that you have, you're not getting much work done to accomplish those in a year anyway.
I think usually they stay the same.
Yeah, they stay the same, not much is gonna
2 years.
change. So I mean, if I go back and change our policy, then it can't be 5.
Last year, you approved them October 15th, the strategic plan, the policy, and the workforce development. But you were working a little bit behind, so this year you just got them in here in July.
Right.
So it's the same thing you did last year in October. They approved on October 15th was when they were actually approved. So I was
Okay.
looking at
So you're saying,
ahead of schedule.
Yeah,
so you're saying, Tammy, that
I can change it to
from
5.
your perspective, you don't see that, I don't want to put words into your mouth or anything, or misinterpret your ideas or what you're trying to say, but I'm not hearing you say that we'd be losing a lot doing it every 5 years
No, you're
instead of every year.
You're not losing.
It'd be one less thing. I'm sure you got plenty of other things that you can be using your time
Like,
for. So,
a lot's not gonna change in a year anyway.
yeah. I'd be interested in what the other commissioners, how they see that.
Well, in the school system, our accreditation went through Southern Association every 5 years.
I'm used
So
to,
we updated our strategic plan when the accreditation process came around again. So
and we've asked, I think, our manager to put together a 5-year strategic plan for the various departments, buildings and all.
Buildings, yeah.
I know normally it is 5 years, and I don't think there's anything in accreditation that says it has to be yearly. I'll go back to make sure, but 5 years would work then.
As far as this strategic plan, I'm just kind of revisiting something we've already discussed, but if I'm understanding correctly what you're sharing with us, this did not change much from the previous plans over the past few years.
Because it hasn't been that big of a time gap.
Very good. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Mr. Morris, you have anything?
Not really. I mean, I'm fine with whatever accreditation requires on the length of the plan. Other than that, I don't have any comments.
All right. Motion and second.
Yeah. They made a motion and a second, so we just need a vote on it.
Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Just as a follow-up, Mr. Chairman, I would like at some point for us to consider a 5-year plan, the pluses and minuses, and if it reduces the workload of one of our directors or managers, gives them time to be working on maybe things that they need to be working on more, then I'm not adverse to a 5-year plan versus having to do this every year.
I agree.
Nor am I subject to change by the new health board.
All right, item B, the Workforce Development Plan 2019. Got a motion? A motion? Second?
And I have discussion discussion?
Go ahead.
You don't seem surprised.
It's okay, Jim.
Haley, did you know what you were getting into?
Maybe not.
Tell me about the workforce development plan, Tammy. What is different, if anything, or what's the highlights of this plan?
Nothing has changed. It just lists everything that we do for our employees to make sure they are certified every year. All the trainings we provide for them, the opportunities we give them to get those trainings, to stay credentialed if they're nurses. That's all it is. It's just our plan to help them stay up to date on everything.
Right, which is a lot, I'm sure.
The nurses is a lot.
One thing we discussed with the DSS director was succession. When she indicated to us, shared some information with us that she would be losing some key employees in the not too distant future. And the plans that she had put in place, and a good example is Wanda. You know, Wanda was a stalwart there in the health department. Things kind of, to some extent, kind of revolved around her position. Not taking anything away from Tammy. Tammy has her own set of things to deal with, but Rhonda had a pretty full platter, it seems. And I know when you step into that, Haley, you say, oh, okay, what is all this? And I'm wondering what plans you have to fill positions ongoing, how you plan to do it when there are vacancies, when there are key people retire, for example.
Not like we did this with Haley. She did shadow Wanda before Wanda left, because we knew she was going to be retiring. And with Betty, I came to you guys to ask approval to get the job app out there earlier. So Linda came in, I think a month before Betty left, so she could shadow her. And I'm trying to get it in place to where we can have someone shadow if we know they're leaving. If they're going to retire, they know they're going to retire. So that way, if we can get it out there and post it and hire somebody and they can watch them for maybe a month, then they'll know more than just walking in and not knowing anything.
And you would need to have selected the person who's going to be filling that position.
Sometimes, yeah, because like with her, she's in-house, so yes.
Right. And I prefer in-house. Excuse
And
me.
we try to in-house.
Whatever's possible.
Depending on the position, like nurses, we are always in-house, and nurses are nurses. You're gonna do the same thing no matter where you go.
Nurses are an open market. You're competing with hospitals, doctors' offices, you name it, for nurses.
But like with Wanda, Wanda knew a lot, Wanda did a lot, and I needed Haley to watch Wanda because I had no clue all she did. So I mean, that's one of those things, you can't just put somebody in there like that without them watching.
Right.
Knowing
Okay.
all the details.
Can you incorporate some of what you're saying or most of what you're saying into the workforce development plan, or is it in there already?
I don't know if it's in there already or not. I don't think it is because we've never done it, but we want to start trying to cross-train some positions too.
Right.
Because there's stuff that other people need to know. Like if Haley's out, like her job stops now. If she's on vacation for a week, nobody else does it. And there's, you know, like her position, somebody needs to know how to order supplies and pay stuff and send invoices up if she's out. And that's never been done before.
Well, I appreciate you mentioning it because that was one of the paths I was headed down. And I think that's important. I don't like to see, well, would prefer not to see our folks have to deal with a situation. Oh my gosh, she's out for a week or a month or whatever. What do we do now? There needs to be some planning, I would hope, to minimize the chances of those kind of things happening. I'll stop there, Mr. Chairman.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Item C, the SOTCH 2018.
I'll make it
Have a
again.
motion. No one second?
I'll second, but I have discussion.
Go ahead, sir.
I don't like that word. It's got a bad sound to it to me. Yeah. What is it again, please?
State of the county health report.
All right, very simple and clear cut, but I still don't like the sound of the word. Why do we do this?
We do this every year between the health assessment. The health assessment's every 4 years. This is the 3 in between, and it's just to update you on what we've worked on between the health assessment and now, what we've done to improve, like obesity, or what we've done to improve. It's in here, yeah, the obesity was in there. Stuff we're working on to improve that in our community, our outreach. And it just updates you year to year till we get back to that health assessment again.
Is this a required item for accreditation?
Every March, either a health assessment or a SOCH is due.
You get to choose which one?
It's when your cycle, 16 was our last CHOP, that's what we call that one, and then we'll do 17, 18, and 19 will be a SOCH, and then in 20 we'll do a community health assessment again.
Okay.
That's the big one where we do the surveys.
Anything in particular pop out in this report as you look
The
at it?
opioids is still in there, that's the major one right now, and the mental health. And then we're actually got a meeting tomorrow, lunch and learn, where we're gonna do a pilot program, for mental health. And it's gonna be one of those where they can track it in an app. If they go to the emergency room, they'll have a buddy, and their buddy will get notified if they're in an emergency room, so I guess they know to go get them or help them if they're having a crisis. And they picked us to do the pilot for that.
Along with this report, just a general question, if I may. What are you seeing regarding what's called the opioid crisis? But I understand it's switching now more to prescribed drugs.
It is. And they're getting them, I'm guessing, from their parents, grandparents. We have lock boxes. Stacy gave us lock boxes. We give those out too. And we take them to any event we have. We offer them to patients. There's patients that ask for them, and we give them to them too. But it is like prescription drugs.
That's what I'm hearing. And do you see any light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, regarding the drug issue?
I don't for a while. Because when one thing gets gone, like it's heroin, you know what I mean? It'll be something else.
No.
Because, you know, they're off of that, they quit prescribing as many opioids, but now you've got gabapentin, which is a pain reliever, and now they're taking it. They'll find something else to replace it every time.
Right. I
It's
took
always gonna be something.
gabapentin. It didn't do, well, it helped some, but I'm just amazed that that's a drug of choice for some of the druggies.
They started doing it now instead of the oxy, because it's easier and doctors don't get in as much trouble because you don't have to, you know, register your ID and stuff. So. But eventually it'll be the same way.
One more question. I saw the corner of my eye, I saw our chairman roll his eyes at me.
He's seeing things again. He's on that medicine still, I think, so.
What more could we be doing from your perspective to deal with the drug situation?
Honestly, I don't know what we could do. I mean, we do the drug take back, they have all the boxes, we do the education everywhere we go. I don't know.
Because when a citizen asks me about what we're doing to try to deal with this issue, I like to be able to tell them that we're doing everything within reason that we can be doing.
I mean, we
Try to
refer them
deal with
to
it.
rehab and everything, but we can't make them go.
True.
So
And
we
they,
can give them all the resources, but we still can't make them quit, you know, use it.
no easy answer, is there?
And I mean, you know, once we had talked about the syringe exchange, but that would be touchy because that's in some people's eyes promoting.
What was that again, please?
Syringe exchange where.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
that would help that.
I know some counties do that and have been doing it for a while.
But it's bigger counties. But I think here it would be not good.
Could be controversial.
It would be.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And with that right there, I guess we're not gonna have any more meetings with them either, to go ahead and put the,
That'll be for you all to, I mean, we're gonna put that on the, this coming meeting's agenda for discussion, for getting everything in line to do the public hearing, all the things we talked about, have more information about reestablishing those boards. So if that's okay with you all, we'd handle that the same way as the, DSS board, if the board's okay with that. The items that you have on here for approval, we could certainly move those to the commissioner's agenda, on the action agenda, if that works for you to do. And get the approval on those, so you don't have, no, the lab fees, I think you said you're already doing that, is that in
We
May?
should have already been doing it, but we hadn't been.
Okay.
Get it approved.
Okay,
It was effective with LabCorp in May.
okay. So is moving that to July 22nd would be the next meeting, is that okay? Okay,
They need to get it ratified instead of approved since you're already doing it.
yeah.
Well, we aren't doing it.
They aren't doing
No,
it
we're
yet,
waiting on approval.
Oh, you were? Okay.
yeah.
Thought you said they kicked it in
They
several months
did,
ago.
but we're not charging it yet, so we're just
Okay.
out some money.
Need to approve it then.
So is that okay with the board if I move those items to the action agenda for the
Yes,
upcoming meeting?
absolutely.
Those four items that we talked about? Okay. Okay.
That's all we got.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no further discussion or anything else from the ladies at the health department, I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have one quick question. Who's the chair of that health service committee now? He still is? Is it full of people or has it got vacancies?
I think there are some vacancies. Maybe a couple.
Just a couple, okay. Okay, that's all I have.
Yeah, he called today, so.
Yeah.
Do y'all meet with them?
We haven't. He knows that the public hearing's coming up. I've talked to Keith, but we haven't met with him yet because there's really nothing for them to do.
It's sort of like a shadow
Yeah.
committee. I mean, they're there, but we don't hear from them. There was a little time period there when the interest perked up and Keith was coming to our board, but I don't think he's been here in a while.
No, we
And,
sent him an updated list of members today with contact info, and he wanted to know when the public hearing would be, and I told him I wouldn't know until the day we had a meeting, how soon it would be.
I think, is that the same public hearing we're discussing at our meeting? To move back to the health board, so that's on, I think, on our agenda.
Health and DSS.
Health and DSS, on our agenda for our next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
My motion still stands once every discussion is finished for adjournment.
Anybody else have anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meet adjourned.
You are going back to work, aren't you?
Yeah, actually I am.
Really?